Okay, here we are in the lab again. And it is episode number 7 of the Retro 1993 PC Build Series. So, in the last video, we were able to ping our Retro PC with a modern PC on the network. That's the big thing. That means we are on the network. We are on the Ethernet. And so, it's just a small little jump to get online after that. So we need to transfer files from other computers on our network, modern computers, and to get it inside our retro, because the floppy drive just doesn't hold enough information to put the files that we're going to be messing with on to it. So we're going to use FTP, the FTP protocol, which was introduced in 1971 as a way to transfer files in between computers. And it used an antiquated protocol called NCP, which is was the predecessor to our modern TCP/IP, and that's what we are using right now on our network. And that's what everybody uses to get online. So in 1980, FTP started using TCP/IP. So that's what we're going to use. So in order to do that, you need two things. You need an FTP client and you need an FTP server or host, which is the modern PC. So the modern PC has to serve the files to the retro PC. So we're going to do that in this video, and we're going to transfer some data from the modern computer, and we're going to download it into the retro PC and see what happens from there. So let's waste no time and let's get to it. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is we need to download an FTP server. Okay, so like I was saying, we need a client and a server. So we'll download the server first so that when we download the client and set it up, then we can just go with it. So let's jump online and get an FTP server. Okay, so we want to open our browser. We want to do a search for WinFTP, and then we'll go straight to the download. And we got 3 options: Windows, Linux, or Mac. We're going to grab Windows. And we're going to download it to our downloads. All right. Done with the browser. You can run it from the browser, but in downloads and WinFTP, double click on it. And we're going to start it up. Start the install. Let's close out. All right. Next. Accept the agreement. Name's okay. Yes. Next. Port, okay. Okay, so the administrator name, I'm going to say antimatter. That's what I usually use. You can use whatever you want. The password's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, just so people I don't compromise my normal passwords. All right, which is always the smart thing. All right, I don't care about remote administration. All right, all right. It's a pretty easy software program, so we'll launch it. Okay, so that's the administrator, and we're going to do our password, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Log in. There are no domains, so we'll hit OK. Domain ID will be antimatter. You can call it whatever you want. My FTP server or whatever. All this should be just default is good. IP address we're going to go with 50. That's what the machine IP is, so we'll just call it that. All right. So this says there's no user account, so we'll hit OK. And we'll create a user. It'll be antimatter as well. And then a password. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I don't know if it'll let us do that. Let's see. Home directory. This is where you set your directory where when a computer logs in, this is the directory that they see. So for me, it's going to be on my E drive, under project, under retro 1993 computer build, and this is what I have in there right now. Okay, and you can give different accesses to it. All we want to be able to do right now is just read. All right, and okay. All right, so that should be good. We should be good. So then we'll test it using an FTP program right here. I have Qt FTP Pro. All right, so then if we go host 192.168.0.50, which is the same computer, but that's okay. And then antimatter for our username, whatever your username is, and your password. And then just hit the little connect button here, and it connects that fast. So we're good. Everything works on the server side. Okay, so we got our server up and ready to go. So now we need to get the client, and we're going to download WSFTP. That was a very popular FTP client back in the early 90s. So we will download that right now. All right, we're going to open up a browser, and we're going to go to antimatter.me and the Win 3.1 directory. All right, and we're going to download WSFTP. This is the file right here. All right, and we're just going to go like that. We're going to save it in our downloads. All right, just like that. Then we're going to come over here, and we're going to copy it. Then we're going to put it on our flash drive. Paste. All right, and then we're going to stick it in drive B over here, just like we always do. And with any luck, this will be the last time we do it. All right, so we want to click on our file manager here. And we want to go to drive B. And this is our FTP file that we copied earlier. And we just double click on that. WSFTP was a pretty popular program in the early 90s because before the internet was accessible, we had what they called BBSs, which was just personal computers around the area. Well, it was all over the United States, but since you had to use your phone line to call them up, and long distance cost money in those days, then everybody stayed within their what they called their dialing area, their local area. But the BBSs was how we exchanged information. It was slow. If somebody called you, it'd bump you offline, and you were glad you didn't have very many friends. But then around 1994, maybe sometime in 93, the internet became accessible. You could access the internet through the BBS, but it cost you 10 cents a minute, which people didn't access it very much, and some not at all. But around 1993, 1994, the internet became accessible through providers. All right. And then we just hit next. Now, are you a student? Nope. Do I work for the government? No. Non-business purposes? Okay. All right. And then yes to the agreement, although it might be good to read it. That's good for the name there. But I don't like this name here, so I take the LE off. I don't like the LE on there. All right. But yeah, you could pay $20 a month and get on the internet, but it was still dial up. You still had your phone line and a modem. And modems were slow in the 93, 94 era. All right, we'll finish it. Okay, so we got FTP installed, our FTP client installed. So now we need to set it up to connect to our new computer, modern computer. So we have to run Trumpet, WinSock to get the TCP IP stack running. So we got to get file manager here. All right, now we just go to window, and then this is all of the windows, all these. So we'll go to Trumpet WinSock, double click on it, and go minimize. It started up because we already have it configured and everything. So then we can get rid of that. So we take our WSFTP, double click on that. Okay, so now what we want to do, we want to name our profile. So I'll call it antimatter. You can call it whatever you want. All right, so for the host name, it's IP.0.50 for our modern computer, 100 for us. Auto detect, user ID, of course, is antimatter, or whatever ID you set up on the server. Password is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or whatever you set up. Account, do I have to do that? So remote host directory, I think you can leave it blank. Should work fine. We don't want anonymous login. We want to save the password, and we want to auto save the config. All right. So now, if we hit OK, well, we better save it just in case. All right. Then we're going to hit OK. All right. So if you looked at the bottom, then you've seen it was pretty fast, but it logged in. Everything's good. So you can go with these arrows. You can scan through it where it logged in. Tells you any problems. Everything was good. All right, so this is our directory we set up on the server. And so this is our machine here, the retro machine. So we want to double click on that to get us to the root directory. And we want to make a directory called downloads. Can only say download because you're only allowed 8 characters. All right, and so then we want to change to our download directory. Where are we at here? Right here. All right, so we're in our download directory. This is the directory over at the server. So let's transfer a file to make sure it works. So we want to transfer a program that we're going to use probably quite a bit. It's an important compression, decompression application. So we'll double click on that because that's a directory. So this is the file that we want to transfer. So you just hit the little arrow here to send it to us, or if you have a file over here, you can send it to the server. All right, but we want to download it to us, a retro computer. And so we'll just hit that. And there it goes, just like that. And so we're transferring our first file. All right. WinZip was very popular because in the old days, the size of the file was very important because the transfer time was so long. You wanted to make anything you could do to like shorten the time. So compressing the files was important. All right. So we transferred it. So we can exit out of here for right now. Minimize that. Let's go to File Manager and go to our C drive. And we have our download. And there's our WinZip right there. And there you go. So we transferred our first file. And so now we got to make sure that it's good because it can transfer a whole bunch of gibberish. It's possible. It don't happen too much with TCP/IP. It has protections built into the protocol. But in the days of the BBS days, we didn't use TCP on the phone line. There was things called Q modem and Z modem, and it was a transfer protocol that used the RS-232, which was what that serial port is the RS-232C standard. So sometimes things would get messed up and you'd get a bunch of gibberish and it would spit stuff across the screen, or it would drop your signal, or you couldn't connect, or when you tried to connect, because there was different speeds you could connect, and the speed was going up continuously with new products. So you always had to buy a modem. Everybody wanted the fastest modem they could get. And everybody had different speeds of modem, so it had to automatically negotiate the speed when it connected because you have to be at the same speed. And it was really a big deal when TCP came to the small user at home, and you could get on the internet and you could talk to people all over the world. And we did. We used a program called MIRC, and I think it's still going. But it's the basis for all of the Facebooks and the AOLs and all that. They're basically the same thing. They just built up on it a more graphical user face and all kinds of stuff to make it look better. But it started out just a small command line type. Used like, it wasn't exactly command line, but it was pretty primitive. It's called MIRC, Internet Relay Chat, and everybody was chatting and having a good time, and it was quite the deal for 1993, 1994. So anyway, let's unzip our PK unzip file, decompress it, and install its WinZip. So it was called PK zip and PK unzip were two DOS programs, one to compress the file and one to uncompress the file, unzip it. So when Windows came, then it became WinZip. So we're going to decompress WinZip and install it and see if our data arrived okay. And then we'll have our first app that we downloaded. Okay, let's install WinZip. All right. And we will go to our download folder. And this is our WinZip that we downloaded earlier. And we will just install this guy. right, set up. Unzipping itself. Unzipping WinZip. So before WinZip, it was called PK Zip or PK Unzip. And that was the DOS version. I think it came out in 91. This version of WinZip is one of the more popular ones for Windows 3.1. In the days of BBS connections, we used WinZip a lot because it was very important for compressing the files as much as you could to make them small as you could, because download time was really hard. It would take 30 minutes to download a really crappy image. Okay, here we go. And we're going to start with WinZip Classic. It's more like normal. The wizard, it asks you questions every time what you want to do and stuff. I mean, maybe if it's the first time you use WinZip, maybe you want to do that. But if you've done it a few times, WinZip Classic is the way to go. Express setup, we don't care about customizing anything. All right. This is an evaluation version. It always says unregistered. Okay, I wonder if you can even register it now. We'll have to check that out. But you can always invoke the wizard up here anytime you want anyway. So at this point, I had planned, since we downloaded WinZip, that was the whole idea of doing WinZip first, is so that we could unzip 2 disks of Netscape 1.2 and install it. But when I tried it, I couldn't get Netscape 1.2 to work properly. I don't know what happened. First, it wouldn't install the regular icon for the main Netscape program. And then when I ran it, did manually installed one, and then I ran it, Netscape would not transfer data for nothing. So I don't know what happened. But so then I scrapped that idea, and we're going to download Netscape 3.2, I think. Yeah, Netscape 3.2. Netscape 3.x was very popular, but it came out later, like in the late 90s. So, but it's a good program. So we'll use that and see if we can get online. Okay. Okay, so let's try Netscape 3. So that comes in a self-extracting archive, so we don't have to use WinZip. So we got our trumpet WinSock open. And so we want to go to WSFTP. All right. All right. And we should be able to connect if we have got to have our server running on our other computer. All right. So we're good. Let's get into our downloads directory here. All right. Then we're going to go into Netscape like before. But now we have this file here. This is version 3.04. All right. And so we'll just shoot that over to us. And that's too big to fit on a floppy. It came on a CD-ROM. So we can't do that. So we're utilizing our FTP to download this file. And it should run. right off the hard drive. We shouldn't have any problem. Probably not the case. We'll find out. Netscape 3.04 was very popular in those days. But it didn't come out till like 97, 98. So we were already running Windows 95, 98 by the time this came out. But this particular version is designed to run on Windows 3.1. Because Windows 3.1 was popular for a long time. I loved it. The only reason I upgraded to Windows 95, which was probably around about 1997 or later, was to run the 32-bit programs. Because some of the programs by 1997, 1998, the programs were all becoming 32-bit, and Windows 3.1 just could not run it. So I begrudgingly upgraded to Windows 95, probably about 1997. I lived in San Jose, California in those days. Silicon Valley. All right, we're coming down the home stretch. A little bit higher, 220 kilobits per second. Got a little bit out of it. It's probably because it's compressed better or something like that. Okay, and we have it over here on our system. So we will exit the FTP client and we will go what's going on. All right, so back to the File Explorer and Drive C, download, and Netscape. So it goes back to DOS and they call inflating it, Netscape does. Microsoft calls it expanding. And if it's a zip file, it's called unzipping. And this data.z file, that's a lot of the code for the program in there. All right. So now we extracted it to probably a Netscape directory. Is that what we did? Should be, where did it go? Netscape. Maybe it did it in downloads. Oh, it did. It did it in, it just expanded it right here in the download directory. I'm not sure I like that too much. But it'll be easy to delete out. All right. Netscape Navigator 3, here we go. Seems like it's kind of running a little faster, but I don't know. Because the 386 can run 32-bit code internally. But the outer bus, the data bus is only 8-bit or 16 bits. So internally it can process 32 bits, but it has to load two 16-bit variables into the processor one at a time and then put back together 32 bits. That's the SX. The DX can do the full 32 bits. Override. Yes, we want to override because the other one didn't work too well. Well, it seems to be running kind of smoother. I like it. All right. Next. Yep. Netscape Navigator 304. I'm okay with that. Oh, yeah, we're okay with that. All right, we're copying the files, netscape.exe. That's going to be one of the biggest files. And it can take a while. That's 11%. It's still on the same file, Netscape, and it's 13% of the whole package. 15. $20. Moving past 22. Pretty big file. So it has a bunch of the Netscape file, the compressed file, loaded it into memory. Now it's expanding it into memory and writing it to the hard drive as its memory, allocated memory, gets used up. And it looks kind of slow, but the processor actually moving a lot of data internally and through the memory. Wow, 40%. You'll also notice as you go through the years, the software gets the number of files contained in a certain application increases quite a bit as the years progress. There we go. It's like 55%. Now it's doing the DLLs, dynamic link libraries. Those link you to uh, libraries to like access the hardware. Creating directories, updating registry. We don't have a registry. There. See, now at least this time we got a Netscape Navigator icon. No, I don't care about the README too much. I was never into reading those too much. We can try and see if it'll connect. I don't think it will. Let's see what happens. I don't know if there's would be anything set up on Netscape. AOL bought Netscape, as far as I know. So you'd be going to AOL now. It'd redirect. It could. Just I don't know if they've retained their old stuff or not. Well, there's Netscape Navigator 3 starting up for the first time. See what happens. All right, yeah, unable to locate the server. All right. Okay, so we got Netscape Navigator 3.04. I said 3.2 before, but I was wrong. It's 3.04. So it was, I thought that it came with its own TCP IP because it has that little thing in there that asks you during install, but it don't. So Netscape still at that time relied on a third party TCP IP stack, and there's only two that I know of, and that's Trumpet, WinSock, and Microsoft had their 32-bit TCP IP stack. But Trumpet, WinSock was the most popular for a long time. So we're going to run Trumpet, WinSock alongside Netscape Navigator and see if we can get online. Testing, testing. All right. Okay, so let's fire up Netscape Navigator and see if we can get online. We got our Trumpet WinSock open. I thought Netscape Navigator would use its own TCP IP, but I guess not. Kind of a big program for this machine. All right, so we got to change the home. That doesn't even exist anymore, I don't think, because AOL bought Netscape. But we can go to our test page. So HTTP. Oh, it's not working here. What's going on? All right, so HTTP www.antimatter.me/retro_web/enter. There it is. Yay! So we are on the World Wide Web. All right. So this is a milestone in the project. Okay, so we did it. We are online. We have done it, and so this is a big milestone, and it's the end of a section of the video series. So this is like from gathering parts together, building the system, all the way through to getting on the internet. So now we're going to start getting we're going to take it up a notch, and we're going to download 3 major pieces of software if we can. It's going to load the system. It's going to be a maximum toll on the system. So I think we'll have enough space on the hard drive. We'll just see if the old 386SX can churn its way through all this code and applications. But so what we're going to do is we're going to download Visual Studio so that we can write C code. And we're going to download the Windows SDK, which is the System Development Kit. And we're going to download the DDK, which is the Device Driver Kit. So then we're going to study, and we're going to write code, and we're going to try to understand as much as we can about how DOS works, right down to the assembly level, and to the BIOS level, and we're going to understand how Windows works through and through. So, and we're going to write some applications, and we're going to try, as an example of applications while we're doing this, I want to write I don't know what the proper term is, but I'll call it a translator for right now, to where when you jump online, it goes through the translator. The translator resides in the modern PC, and the retro, when it jumps online, it goes through this translator And the translator grabs the web page at the address the retro computer's requesting, translates it into something simpler, and spits it back to the retro computer. So you can just browse the web and get some kind of representation of a modern web page the way you would see it back in 1993 if it was back then. So that's the goal. But we're going to really dive down into how DOS and Windows and the PC works on a very intimate scale. So that will be the next round of videos for this series. It'll be a section in this series. And so this completes the first section, and we're going to move on to the second section. So I will see you there.